not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Comic Reviews. I'm Sid Part 2, and I've got a lot to talk about, and I am late getting started tonight. I apologize for that. I try to start before 8, but just a whole lot going on today. I posted a video, if you want to go watch that, but someone is stealing my YouTube videos. Again, and I am screwing things up with my keyboard. Great. Always love how these go. There we go. That should be good. Tiny window. I mean, I'd like to get 2 webcams. And that way I could have like a comic cam where I could just have it here and I could have like myself in a tiny window. That'd be really cool to do, but I don't have the funding for that. People are interested. Let me know in the comments if you'd be cool with me setting up like a buy me a second webcam and, you know, a mount thing. If not, it's totally fine. I don't mind holding the book up to the camera. Anyway, yeah, so someone's been stealing my YouTube videos, including like episodes of comic reviews. And while I try to do these episodes so that they are certainly not super dated, so that they're still at least somewhat watchable, they were like stealing comic reviews episodes from like 3 months ago, and I'm just like, why? When these get the most views are right when they're posted, you know, within that week. I don't. There's so many things, so many weird things. I've reported them. We'll see what comes of it. It's just madness. Anyway, so a lot of kooky, crazy shit going on. I also had to get dinner tonight because I knew it was going to be a later show, and I had to have a brief conversation related to the Ring of Victory audio drama that I'm working on. Progress is slow on that, but we are making some headway. So, you know, every little bit helps. Anyway, general updatey stuff out of the way now. Let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to be talking about tonight. How do I do this? Yeah, this will work. Alright, so first thing we'll be discussing is Batwoman number 9. Then we'll go on to Darth Vader, number 8. Followed by Batman, number 35. Supersons, number 10. DC, or no, it's not DC Bombshells anymore. It's just Bombshells United, number 6. DareDevil, number 595. And again with the lenticulars. Aquaman, number 30. And then we'll be closing with Trinity, number 15. For the single issues, that is. Because the trade this week is Star Wars by Jason Aaron, Volume 5, Yoda's Secret War. So, you know, plenty to get through tonight, so I'm not going to wait around too long. I'm assuming y'all can hear me. I got 4 people watching, and I've yet to see any live comments telling me that there's a problem, so we'll just hope for the best. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this started, shall we? Batwoman. Oh, fucked it up. That's not Batwoman. That was Trinity. Totally fucked it up. And now this video cannot be monetized. That's the other thing about stealing my content. I cuss all the damn time. You can't monetize my videos under the current system, even if you could get views on them. These people. Alright, so Batwoman number 9, written by Marguerite Bennett, with art by Francis Blanco? Did I say that right? Fernando Blanco. Like I said, a lot of Hispanic names popping up in the old DC Comics and Marvel artist board. I'm like, I didn't realize that there was a movement of Hispanic artists getting into comic books. At least I think they are. I mean, you know, might just have, you know, the family background or something, but it seems like a lot. Which is cool. Yay. Go us. We're taking over. Anyway, Batwoman number 9. So this is less of a big character revelation or big moment issue, at least for Margaret Bennett. With Margaret Bennett, it seems like every issue is like some kind of big character realization and reaffirming of a theme and an arc. And this has that, but this is, at least in my opinion, significantly more about just progressing the beats of the story. This has like a lot of thematic impact to it, but for Margaret Bennett, it feels kind of toned down to just move the issue along, which is kind of neat. But so last issue, Batwoman and a cohort were drugged by the Scarecrow and are now seeing just wacky fantasy worlds of hallucinations that are horrific. And we open the issue up talking about how there are so many psychedelics in this. And I really like this quote at the beginning because it kind of gets down to the character arc for this issue. The word psychedelic means soul revealing in the Greek, O younger. Psyche for soul, and delos for to make manifest or clear. The many arms of death are going to help take Kate Kane understand who she really is. So yeah, it's a big character issue, and she does get to that realization, but man, Fernando Blanco does some great trippy ass art. Like, it's not the same thing, but it is so reminiscent in ways of Dave McKean in Arkham Asylum. The trippy, creepy weirdness of this, it's like a horror comic on acid. Just, I love the differing shapes and scale of characters and how that really feeds into the fact that our two, heroes are drugged right now. And then there's just a great use of color by John Rauch. I'm gonna go with Rauch. I got a comment from one of the artists on a book that I reviewed a couple of weeks back, and he explained how to pronounce his name in the comment, and I was like, I always feel bad when I screw up these names, but part of it's just you just see it, you don't get to hear it, so it's hard to figure out the pronunciation. But yeah, the colorist and the artist are working really well together. There's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show it. Yeah, you can kind of see that the fear toxin that's supposed to be in Crane's needle syringe fingers, it's got like this slight glow to it, and it just looks really, really good. I could talk about this book panel by panel, but a lot of what Bennett is doing is really enhanced by the art here. Just the idea that she is seeing herself, she's seeing herself as she truly is. She's the worst parts of herself are coming out. It really works with this like trippy Wonderland kind of feel, because Kate Kane is a character who is, conflicted about who she is, what she is, and Wonderland is, of course, this area without any real rhyme or reason or logic to it. It's kind of this trippy weirdness of confusion, and I really like that. I will say, though, one issue is... I'm not sure how big an issue this is. This is a query. So Kate Kane knows she's been taken captive by Scarecrow, and she knows she has been drugged by Scarecrow. How much sense does it make for her to be able, even though she is seeing hallucinations and, creepy visions, how much sense does it make for her to be able to logically still progress, even though she's just telling herself, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real? I don't know, like, I'm a... Because I've never done any hallucinogenic drugs or tripped balls or anything like that. So I imagine I would be very overwhelmed. But I guess in order to make an argument for it, Kate Kane lived the rock and roller lifestyle for a while. It's very much baked into this story arc that she lived dangerously and kind of on the edge of a life thing. So she's probably got a tolerance for hallucinogenics. This clearly isn't her first... I would say with some confidence that this isn't meant to be her first trip through a hallucinogenic psychedelic experience. So you got that, but at the same time, I guess the way I've always imagined the fear toxin... I've always imagined the fear toxin as a cousin of LSD that has been specifically chemically tailored is for it to act like it's a drug tailored. It's tailored to only give you bad trips, if that would make sense. Whether or not that's at all possible, I wouldn't know, but that's how I've kind of always conceptualized the drug. And so I've heard people talk about having bad trips and stuff. And, you know when you're taking acid, and you know of the possibility of having a bad trip, but I don't know if I've ever heard anyone talk about going through a bad trip and being able to still reason logically. Maybe I just need to read more interviews with Grant Morrison, but I don't know about that. So that's like my one thing where I'm a little iffy on it for this issue. But anyway, she's kind of, Kate and her little sidekick here kind of getting through the laboratory, and I don't know, there's just a lot of cool imagery. I really, really like this panel right here of Kate and the skeleton she sees in the mirror. That's really neat. I feel like that's probably not even scripted. I know Margaret Bennett as a writer. I feel I've gotten a pretty good taste for her style at this point, and I just have never seen her pull anything off like that. So I would not be surprised if this was put in by the artist just as creative interpretation. But anyway, so Kate and her little sidekick here are dealing with some drama between themselves based around her father, and that's kind of interesting. And she's also sending out a distress signal. It's neat. She's got a crack in her skull filled with gold that we realized from an earlier story. And so, because of that, she's able to actually have kind of a sense for electronics, and that's how she's able to, kick a tree and know that it's an electrical panel on a wall. So that's kind of cool. That's believable. She explains it as like, I've got a crack in my skull patched with gold, long story, and I can feel the machines buzzing like catching a radio station in your fillings. I know I've heard people with metal plates in their head talk about how it's kind of difficult to be around a lot of electronics and stuff. I wonder how they deal with cell phones. Anyway, so they get a signal out, and now they just have to survive trippy-ass, horrifying Scarecrow. This design that, first seemed to be used or is heavily based off of the Arkham Asylum games. I love it. It's got to stay in the comics more. It looks great. So anyways, they get a signal out, and then they just have to kind of, deal and survive. This panel sequence down here, I really like, because Kate thinks she's in Wonderland. This guy that she's with thinks he's in an arcade game. Or they're seeing themselves in an arcade game. And he's breaking under the pressure of all this. So I like this panel that shows him trying to attack someone. Because you get the, Wonderland version of it, where he's got the axe, in the hand. And then you get his version of it where it's some kind of, cool video game gun. And then you get just a brief little glimpse of reality, and you realize he's holding a fucking mop. And that's just really cool. I really like the way that works. It's a neat trick paneling wise. Anyway. So once he goes down, Kate sees a picture of him and his daughter, and then kind of gets a badass inspirational moment going on, and starts to think about how, like, she goes through, a crisis again, where she thinks about how the thing that's wrong with everybody in her life is her. Everyone she's ever come across, she's a poison to. She's disease. And so she's kind of getting consumed by this doubt and those thoughts and stuff. But then she just, like, gets defiant and says, "No. I am no sickness. I'm not defined by my scars. Damage was always part of my story, and I have to own it, because if I deny it any longer, it will eat me alive. I loved a symbol more than family, but that symbol was first only a symbol of fear. You want me to know it? You want me to suffer for it? You want to torture me with the images of my worst nightmares, the worst things that could happen? My worst fears? But the worst things that could happen to me already have, and I rose. My worst fears already came to pass, and I rose. And what's my worst nightmare now? What am I terrified of being? What am I going to choose to become? Why, Scarecrow, my worst fear is standing right in front of you. Monstrous, diseased, and alone, and you helped create me. So I'll ask you again. Are you frightened now?" God, Margaret Bennett always kills it with the speeches! Every time! It's just so good! I want to take a sec to talk paneling, though, because I like what he does here. I like Fernando Blanco's work. Okay, so here's her, like, getting kind of consumed by her self-doubt and stuff. And then you get the page flip, and you see, like, monstrous Scarecrow, Kate, and, like, the cityscape. And then I just love this panel work. This has the imagery of, like, the billboards and the giant television screens of downtown New York as the panels, particularly this panel right here with the way she's, like, it's almost perfectly on a three-dimensional plane. It looks like it was flipped in post. Can I share screens on here? Yeah, I can screen capture. Okay. That work? All right. So you can see a little bit of me. Okay. So if you do screen capture, wait, it's so hard to tell. Let me just look at the video real quick. Now, I kind of want to figure this out, but all right, let me try opening up Maya, and I'll show you. Because this is kind of neat. I rarely get to talk 3D work, so I'm gonna look up a comic book panel real quick, and I will put it in the in Maya and show you guys something kind of cool. I need my keyboard though, because I think I know how he did it, because it looks like it's distorted as if it is projected on 3D and then recaptured. It doesn't look like it was drawn in this way. It's too perfectly flat, and it would take a lot of work with perspective. So I'm going to show you how I think it's done, but I do not claim to know for real. So I'm just going to Google comic panel real quick. I've got like pages and pages of them on my computer. I don't know why I don't use one of those, but hey. Alright, here's DareDevil with a cat. That'll be a good one. ZKVEA. Someone remind me of that if I need it. Alright, so I'm gonna screen share my 3D modeling program. Okay, let's make this much bigger for y'all to see. Okay, that should work. Let me check one other thing. I hope that you can actually see what I'm doing. I don't like that white box there. If I create a cube real quick, will it work? I'm gonna feel bad if I talk this long about something and I can't even do anything with it. That'll be exceptionally annoying. No, it doesn't look like I can show you guys. Oh well. Sorry, folks. Things happen. What can I tell you? Anyway. What I think he did, though, is like, put the panels, draw the panels out flat, and then when he was compiling the page, I feel like he rotated them on a 3D plane. Because you can do, you know, perspective lines and change things just on paper with a box. It's not difficult to do that, but something about it just doesn't look like that would be the most opportune way to do it. Because you can do, okay, so here's, you know, just real basic of a box, and I'll try to keep it somewhat consistently sized and proportioned, but you know how that goes with me and my drawing skills or lack thereof. Alright, so here's just, you know, a box. Now, if I do a vanishing point, and I draw the box toward that, I can get some really interesting results as to how the perception of it looks. And you could do this on paper, but I feel like it'd be much more difficult, and something about how perfectly flat everything looks makes me wonder if it was done in post. So there's just a box that's, you know, to a vanishing point, but it just looks flat again. But if I start drawing things in relation to that, as that's where they're disappearing at, you start to get a sense of depth and flatness, and it creates an interesting perspective. And I'm not talented enough to do it, but that gives you a really, really basic idea of it. So I don't know, just particularly with how flat one of these panels is at such a warped perspective, this one right here, I have to think that this is a combination of you know, drawing the panels and then putting them in post, but it looks really good. Anyway, got a 9-panel grid that does a lot with art to hint at Kate Kane's character arc. And then we get Woman Bat. Oh, it's really, really cool. Oh, you can't even see the detail in the image. Okay, if I get it really close, you can see the iris there. That's really cool. But yeah, she kind of turns in her mind into a, you know, man bat, woman bat kind of thing. And I like the transformation sequence we get here. That's really cool. I like just the it looks so trippy and savage. It's really, really cool. I am digging the hell out of the art in here. And Kate Kane's journey. This is a beautiful combination. Someone please get Fernando Blanco on another Arkham book. We need another Arkham Asylum book. We need another book where you know, we got Arkham Asylum, and that would be really cool to see. Oh, has that been up the whole time? Or am I No, I'm crazy. Okay, sorry. I clicked something weird. Anyway. Great book, and I've talked about it for half an hour. Go me. What do you do, Ian? You got a lot of books to get through tonight. Red Leader Antilles in live comments mentions Arkham Manor needs to come back. Yeah, I really like that. I don't know how you could have contrived that and Bruce Wayne still having Wayne Manor. But man, that would have been great. I liked Arkham Manor quite a bit. Did a Trade Talk episode on it, so you can go look that up. Anyway, let's go ahead and go on to Darth Vader by Charles Soule, number 8. Charles Soule, forgive me, artist, if I pronounce your name wrong. Giuseppe Camuncoli? Giuseppe Camuncoli. I think I'm doing that. So, I don't know. I like some of this. I don't really care about other parts. I will say this for Charles Soule. He writes Sidious pretty well. Red wants to see how to pronounce the name. There's the artist's name. Because Red is Italian, and he can tell me the correct pronunciation. Anyway. So, Soule writes Sidious fairly well. Not the best or anything, but he's got a voice for Sidious. He's got an intelligence for Sidious. And, this is a 2-page sequence. Really more just a 1-page sequence. An introduction. We get a brief introduction scene, and then we get to Sidious's point on the next page. That's cool. But, I don't really get a ton from this. It's an interesting speech about how Vader's ready to just go kill everybody. But, Sidious warns him about, embracing the dark side, but don't let the dark side turn you into a tool of it. Use it as a tool. And that makes sense. You hear the guys in the dark side, the Sith always talk about the power of the dark side and all this stuff, but, what does that mean? Can you run away with it? Can you go mad with power? And the whole, philosophy of the Sith is control, dominating the Force, and using the dark side to your advantage to do so. And so I don't know, I like that. That's a neat idea. Anyway, in this issue, Jocasta Nu, the Jedi librarian, sneaks into the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, but her ship was discovered somewhere near it or on Coruscant and blew itself up. So now she has to find alternate transport off, and the Empire has been alerted to the possibility of a Jedi being on Coruscant. You get a really trippy-ass vision, Force vision that Vader's going through. This is just fascinating. So this is, all in the head, and I guess this is how Vader sees himself, which is neat, because, I like the coloring on this page right here of the body. Because all the limbs are white, and the body is this charred, scarred up, kind of lava-caked looking mess. And that's interesting, because what doesn't Darth Vader have that Anakin Skywalker had? Limbs. That looks really, really good. That is a lot done visually, and I really like that. The red lightning behind it looks cool. The the butterflies of light kind of is that the light side, and like I really like this last panel down here, as you know, you got this lone light butterfly and it's starting to be surrounded and choked out by darkness as Vader notices it. It's really cool. Oh, and then no, never mind. Anyway, so Vader's told about the presence of a Jedi, and he has to go and start to deal with it. And he kind of enforces his control over subordinates within the Empire. And you know, it's just this commander. Like tells him, all right, listen, we think it's just vandalism and rabble rousing. You're just called because we have to inform you. You know, you're just here as a courtesy. And Vader's like, no. And he reconstructs the ship just with the Force. That's really cool. And he's like, you're just here as a courtesy. No, you are. That's really cool. And it's like telling him, search every level of Coruscant. There is a Jedi somewhere. It's like, I will go to the Jedi Temple. Well, if there's a Jedi, or like, search every level of Coruscant but the Jedi Temple. There's a Jedi here. Well, like, if there's a Jedi, shouldn't someone go to the temple? Someone will. God, Vader's got really good... Vader's dialogue is sharp. Like, I've complained a lot about this book, plot-wise, but Vader's dialogue has not been bad. He's doing a good job here. So Jocasta Nu gets... Like, I guess this is the prequel to Star Wars Rebels. Jocasta Nu gets the Jedi's last archive of known Force-sensitive younglings in the galaxy. And she's trying to sneak that out of the Jedi Temple and get off Coruscant. But as she is walking out of the Jedi Temple, she realizes the Grand Inquisitor is there reading through the Jedi archives, and she cannot resist the urge to jump down and tell him, get your filthy hands off my books, and stick a lightsaber in his face. I mean, really, you have literally what you know is the last hope of the Jedi Order. Like, she a page earlier, she seriously says... I want to read her dialogue because it's pretty good. But return we will. Alright. I know, you have done well, and I will ask you to continue your vigil for some time to come. The Sith have taken power in the galaxy. It will take generations for the Jedi to return in force to depose them. Perhaps longer. But return we will, especially now that I have this. The Order's database of every Force-sensitive child. She is literally holding the future of the Jedi Order in her hands. She knows it. And then she's walking out and she sees the Inquisitor reading her books and throwing away, considering some of it drivel. And she's talking to herself, don't, Jocasta, you have what you came for. Don't be a fool. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Get your filthy hands off my books. Here's the thing, acknowledging that a character is making a mistake, acknowledging that the character knows that they're doing something rash, knows that they're letting emotions overpower them, stuff like that. That doesn't excuse having a character do it for the sake of drama, excitement, the plot. It's still... poor writing. like, the character, Jocasta Noon here knows the implications of this decision, and we've mentioned earlier that she is not good with a lightsaber. That is not her forte. Furthermore, she's a Jedi, and thus far, she has been shown to be, pretty on point about the whole Jedi teachings in this book. I'm not going to get into it with... I got a bunch of Star Wars fans in the live comments. I'm not going to get into it with you guys as to whether or not that's the case in other stuff. In this book, she has been demonstrated to be pretty on point with the Jedi teachings. Here, she feels anger over something she has ownership feelings towards, and it provokes her to seek retribution. Well, at this point, she's already on the fucking dark side. You tell me younglings got killed and she was able to be like, well, it'll take some time, but we'll rebuild. But motherfucker throws a book and she's like, you son of a bitch. That's pretty bad. That's pretty silly. Let's see. Red Leader until he says, "You're right, Ian. In Legends, she was smart as well. She was on the freaking Council of First Knowledge, aka the 3 smartest Jedi in history, and teaching-wise. In fact, I think she was on the Grand Council. So yeah, this is dumb. It feels a little dumb. It feels a little. Again, my critique of this book has been, it is not bad, but it feels like the plot to a video game. I feel like I'm about to play a boss fight as the Grand Inquisitor. Anyway, let's go ahead and go on to Batman, number 35. To be fair, Ian, to be fair to librarians, books are more important than younglings. Sure. Fair point. Anyway, Batman number 35. Duel with the Demon's Daughter. Get an opening of what's at stake, what's going on here, in 2 panels. I really like this. We get an opening of she's the most important thing, framed in white, and she is literally caught between this battle between Catwoman and Talia al Ghul. DC Comics presents The Rules of Engagement. Clang! Sword fight! I like sword fights. So we got Holly Robinson kind of caught in the middle of Catwoman and Talia al Ghul fighting to the death. So Tom King writes an origin for Talia that I'd never heard before, and I quite like it because it demonstrates why Talia is such a bad mother. So Talia says, there are no pictures or videos of me when I first walked. The second I did, my father put a sword in my hand and hit me to the ground and said, fight or die. And that is already the most fucked up way to raise a child. It gets worse. Talia goes on to say, and so I fought every minute, every day. Sometimes I won. Sometimes I died. Her father literally would kill her himself or have her killed and then throw her in the Lazarus pit to be resurrected. That is all kinds of evil. There's no denying just how mercilessly evil that is. And the fact that Damien is in this issue really highlights ideas about how Damien was raised. Man, this is good shit. Anyway, so Catwoman is sword fighting with Talia, and it kind of rubs it in her face that she came from nothing, was given nothing, and she's only held a sword like 2 times in her life, but she's holding her own against Talia Al Ghul. Then we cut back and forth between that fight and this kind of stuff with Batman being injured and Dick and Damien kind of having conversations about why Batman is marrying Catwoman, or trying to marry Catwoman, and this idea of trying to be happy. I like the conversation that Talia and Catwoman have about why each of them like Batman, love Batman, want to be with him. Talia, because if anyone in the world is her equal, it's him. And Catwoman, because she loves him and accepts that she's never going to be enough for him. So I really like that. It's pretty, it's just pretty well done. Catwoman straight up says, "I'll always be second to a child's idiotic fantasy." And I like that Catwoman is kind of aware that, nothing is more important to Batman than the mission. And yet she still kind of loves him anyway, which is, you talk about toxic relationships. Just because you acknowledge someone's flaws and you love them anyway does not mean that it is okay for them to always have that flaw. It does not mean that they don't have to try to improve upon or deal with that flaw. If you marry someone who is an alcoholic and they get drunk and ruin something, it's, you're certainly aware that you were stepping into the reality that could happen to you. But that doesn't mean that they are excused from the personal responsibility of mitigating, dealing with their own behavior, dealing with their problem. It's not, well, you knew I was an alcoholic, so you knew this was going to happen, so this is really your fault. You're not allowed to be mad. No, you're still allowed to be mad. So it's interesting that, she thinks that by going... the implication, rather, is that she thinks that she can go into this relationship, but that she's not trying to fix it. Excuse me. She's not trying to fix him. She's trying to just be accepting of him. And there's a difference between acknowledgement and acceptance that I don't feel Catwoman understands here. So I really like that. And I also like Catwoman's point. What he is, all he is, he's just the stupid man I stupidly love. Romance. Dick talks to Damien, about how he thinks that the reason Batman's trying to be with Catwoman is because he's trying to be happy, and that's hard for Batman because to be happy is to ask for something, and asking is difficult. I really like that. That makes a lot of sense because Batman doesn't think he deserves anything. Batman's the guy who's willing to give everything to anyone, right? I really like that. That's an interesting point to make. Anyway, so Catwoman last minute turns the tables on Talia, wins the duel, and sticks a sword in her frickin' back. Because, fuck yeah. What's up, Manos? Manos is in the live comments. Here's Catwoman stabbing Talia al Ghul in the back. It was well earned. Anyway, so, Catwoman finally goes to talk to Holly, and Holly's like, how could you, after everything that you've done for me, how could you come and force me to give myself up? And Catwoman's like, I'm not going to force you. I'm here to ask you. Meanwhile, Talia and Bruce are kind of bleeding in the corner. And I just love this little reaction. So this is your betrothed? I like her. Whoa, what a story. Anyway, Batman and Catwoman walk out of where they're at, and Dick, Damian, and the two of them right off into the desert together. I'm not sure. I'm thinking rules of engagement isn't over. It looks like it appears as if that's like the first chapter of rules of engagement, and now there's a Superman thing. Or maybe the Superman story is going to be the epilogue. Who knows? But anyway, great issue as always. King loves his paneling. Joelle Jones does a great job with the art here. Joelle Jones is able to draw a really, really dynamic... my page is all bent and twisted up. I'm sad now. Joelle Jones is able to draw a really dynamic and... gorgeous but dangerous looking Talia al Ghul. Every panel of her is just perfect. But at the same time, she has this, like, viper kind of look to her. And I really, really like that. And it's juxtaposed well with Catwoman, who, I don't know, she does have, like, there are aspects of her that just feel kind of, graceful and, feline-esque, felon-esque, like a cat, and that's really cool. Like, she's doing a lot of, like, arm back kind of poses in this sword fight, and it looks really neat. Whereas Talia's kind of got, what's her arm doing there? Is it holding? I don't know, we don't see a lot of Talia's other arm. Interesting. I don't know. I quite like it. It looks really good. Joelle Jones does some great work. Who did the coloring on this? Inks cover, pencils, inks cover. Jordi Belair, Bellaire. I'm gonna go with Belair. Did the cover and the interior colors, and it looks really solid. The color works great. I like that Talia's given a consistently dark skin tone. That's really appreciated. Just, generally speaking, more color in comics. Talia tends to get whitewashed a lot, so it looks really, really good, man. I'm digging it. Nighttime shading looks good too. Cool stuff. Just cool stuff. Alright, so there's 3 books down. Brevity! Brevity is the soul of wit. I'm not witty. Anyway, Supersons, number 10. Okay. If you haven't been picking this book up, that's fine. It's whatever. I'm going to tell you, before I say anything about the book, you should be picking it up if you're a fan of Grant Morrison's Batman. Alright, this is a good issue to pick up and see if it interests you enough to get the continuing story. That being said, there's your first warning. Absolutely no spoilers. This is your warning for no spoilers. So now I'm going to get slightly spoilery. So the Grant Morrison's Batman may not have been a big enough tip. If you like Batman, Damian Wayne Batman in the bad future, you should pick this issue up and probably the continuing storyline. Okay, so there are your two spoiler alerts and encouragements to go get this issue. So let's get into the story. Peter Tomasi really knows what he is doing with writing these characters. He has a really great voice for each one of them. All of them are perfectly independent. No one sounds the same. For these four characters, these four core characters, which is John, Damian, Clark, and Bruce. They are the characters popping up the most, and they are very consistently written and have just a very distinct and damn near perfect voice. What's impressive about that is John's voice sounds derived from Superman, and Damian's voice sounds derived from Batman. These boys are written as their father's children, and I really, really like that. So, like, we got this opening 9-panel grid, which is really great, where we get, a different character in every panel except the bottom two right over here, where we got both Bruce and Clark, but it switches angles on it. Anyway. So in this, Damian's doing a countdown and kind of bickering with his father and Superman in between, as John is doing something. We don't really know what, but Damian's kind of just looking over. Silence. Did he just tell you to? 4. My influence, unfortunately. 3, 2. Fantastic page turn as we see John, at least in this book, fly for the first time. I don't know what John's been doing in the main Superman book as far as how his powers have developed and stuff, but that is gorgeous. Oh, that is so cool that John's been training with Damian and as well as Superman, and now he's flying for the first, flying with ease and at speed for the first time. And it's a great little sub panel here as we have how each of these react to it. Clark is so freaking proud. Look at that face. Look at that grin. It's perfect. And then Damian looks so damn malicious about it. I really, really like that. Excellent. And then Bruce just... Impressive. Anyway, so John asks for permission to go stop a robbery, and they say, fine, just catch up with us later. The remaining 3 get in a truck and kind of start driving. John catches up with them, and then Damian and him talk, and John has Damian get on the roof of the truck and put his arms out like he's flying. That's really great. Flying is pretty cool. Arms out, wind at your face, that'll never get old. I know. I was able to fly for a short time after my father brought me back from Apocalypse. How come you never told me? Need to know. Thanks, John. For what? Needing to remember. Oh. That's a sweet moment. Okay. So I warned you and warned you. Spoilers, right? I'm just going to let the page art show this. It's so cool. Oh, that is amazing. So, like, in this, we've got his internal monologue saying, I sold my soul for this city just to watch it turn to rubble right before my damned eyes. But before I let the final darkness envelop me, devour me, there's time for one more resurrection, one more rebirth, one more chance to get things right. The apocalypse is back on because I say so. Of course the apocalypse is back on because Damian Wayne says so. Damian Wayne, you are my hero. I'm just incredibly excited to see Damian Wayne Batman back. This is like a thing that I thought everyone just forgot about or just decided, okay, yeah, it's whatever, we're never doing that. Like, you know, you got the one issue of it, you got some tiny hints at it throughout the rest of Morrison's run, and then it was pretty much forgotten about. Morrison says he's doing Arkham Asylum 2, and it's going to be set in that continuity. That's great. I'm glad to see someone else in the comics playing around with the future Batman Damian Wayne thing. That kind of split timeline. Oh, and yes, the Damian Wayne Batsuit is one of the best designed Batsuits. Thank you, Robert Emmet, in the live comments for saying, yeah, the Damian Wayne Batsuit is so flippin' awesome. Anyway, we cut back to the present day as we get to what is promised on the cover. And let me just say, before I get away from Damian Wayne Batman, look at this cover. Alright? Look at the little ad that's put on the cover. Introducing the Fortress of Attitude. Hilarious fun. I tweeted about that. Tomasi's having way too much fun. He needs to stop having fun. Immediately. No more fun. Comics aren't about fun anymore. Not kidding. Thank you so much. So much for not putting that on the cover. That is such a great thing. Like, this is why I didn't want to tell people that the spoiler, like, that's why I gave so many spoiler alerts. It's like, okay, if you like Grant Morrison's Batman, you should probably pick this up. If you like Damian Wayne Batman, you should pick this up. That's the thing, is like, it is such a cool moment for me as someone who wasn't aware what was going to happen in this issue, to just get that reveal, like, oh my god, it's Damian Wayne Batman. That's awesome. And so, yeah, it was really, really cool to see that tease here. I'm sure the next issue will have that. But it's just so refreshing for a comic book cover not to spoil the big reveal that makes it such a fun and cool issue. Like, it's a really fun issue without that. That is entirely, and it's called an intermission, and it is setting up what is going to, I imagine, be the main story throughout the next arc. But just as like a having no idea what's coming, turning the page, seeing the silhouette of Damian Wayne Batman in the rubble and ruins and fires of future Gotham City. Oh my god. And I'm like, no, it can't be. You turn the page and there he is. And I'm like, yes! Oh, that is so cool. So anyway, then we get back to the present day and what's actually promised on the cover. So not only do we get a cover that doesn't spoil anything, we also get a cover that doesn't lie to us. Batman and Superman built their sons a clubhouse. I just... It's an underwater fortress made of trains? It's so cool. This is just too much fun. It's just like, I don't know, man, there's something so refreshing about this. Like they walk in and Superman is underneath the like computer monitoring station putting pieces together. And like that is so charming. That is like so like that is the image of your dad and your friend's dad building you guys a tree fort, right? That's so cool. I'm so in love with this book. Tomasi is having too much fun. And John nicknamed it the Fortress of Attitude. And Damien's like, we are definitely not calling it that. Oh, that is the best. And of course, like, John is super freaking excited and everything. Like look at John's face. He's so happy and enjoying it. And Damien's such a little shit. Oh. Like, John's like, come on, I want to show you around the fort. And Damien's like, hold on, I know my father. There must be a catch. Oh, man, this is a really, really fun comic. I thoroughly enjoyed this. This was great. So anyway, their fortress has teleporters, and they're gonna be routed on missions by the Bat computer and Justice League Tower of a certain caliber so that they can get their feet wet. And just like I like that so much, you know, because I'm so tired of the no missions on your own attitude that like a lot of these, you know, the kid books, the books that feature like the sidekick characters or whatever have. And like the characters constantly like sneaking out or doing missions underneath the main hero's nose and stuff like that. Like I feel like a lot of Robin books have had stuff like that. And I like that it's just like, no, we want you to go on missions together. I want you guys to be able to go do your things. And to just have this be like, yeah, we want you to do that is so refreshing, and it just feels fresh and unique. And this book is too much fun. Batman and Superman built their sons a clubhouse and send them off on crime-fighting, monster-fighting missions. And it's made out of trains! Then it's all given with the big reveal that Damien now has to go to a private school because he has moved beyond Alfred's homeschooling abilities. Okay, worst book ever. Easily. Just, I can tear it in half right now. That Peter J. Tomasi believes anything is beyond Alfred's capabilities is garbage. Okay? Peter J. Tomasi needs to leave comic books right the fuck now. Just no more issues for him. Terrible. Kidding. No, so, like, the big reveal is that Damien has to go to private school now. And where's he got to go to private school at? Metropolis with John. Oh, it's adorable. Oh. The West Reeve School in Metropolis. That's really cool. Reeve. West. Can anyone think of a character that West would be a character, actor, anything like that West would be in tribute to? Is there like a big Superman writer that I'm not aware of? Because Reeve obviously has implications for both George and Christopher Reeve. West. Is there a West I'm not thinking of? Adam West? That would make sense. Okay, yeah, for Batman. It's just that it's a school in Metropolis, so I was thinking, Superman-centric. But yeah, Adam West Batman would make a lot of sense, too. So that's cool. That's a neat little tribute thing. I like when writers do that. My only problem with it is it doesn't seem to, stick. Like King in the I Am Bane. Yeah, it was I Am Bane. Started naming a lot of sections of, Arkham Asylum. He called it, Morrison Hall and the McKean Clock Tower. And, that's really cool. It's just, I feel like that's not going to stick. No one else is going to do that. And I those details would be cooler if they stayed consistent. We'll see, though. But anyway, Superman and Batman leave, and John and Damian go out on a mission to stop. I think that's the human bomb. Whatever his name is. Anyway, and I like that John's kind of getting a little more confident himself, and a little, as John's coming into more of his powers, he's gaining a lot of self-confidence and not letting Damian bully him around so much. So it's we get kind of a twist on something that happened in the earlier issues, which is, this is a job for Superboy! And Robin, I hate you. God, this is too much fun. Oh. Honestly, let this run go for a while, let it do its thing. I would watch the shit out of a Supersons animated series or movie. That could be a ton of fun. Because, this is the first issue where I'm excited about where the plot's going and what's going to develop in that regard. The reason I've been reading this book is all about the character interaction now. So you could really do something that just, let Tomasi at least work on, if not straight up write a script for an animated movie. Because this could be tons of fun. I'm really, really enjoying this book. And I hope my glee and my enjoyment of it is convincing you to go out and get it. Because it is a great single issue, if nothing else. With, again, Damian Wayne Batman is going to be back in this story. All right, let's go ahead and go on to Bombshells United number 6. Margaret Bennett, awesome. I love this cover. I want to mention it's really, really cool to see all the different bombshells just in a group together, including bombshells that we haven't even seen yet. It's a little annoying that they got the logo put over their heads at the top, because I cannot tell you who some of these are. All right, because it stops at Jessica Cruz. I think that's Power Girl. Based on the purple and the red hair, I'm going to say it's Star Sapphire. And I honestly cannot tell who's next to Star Sapphire. But then we get Huntress, Batgirl, and then we get the Gotham Batgirls up top, along with some more of the Wonder Girls. So yeah, just all the characters that have appeared in Bombshells are here, except not all these characters have appeared in Bombshells until now. So this issue is setting up just, what's coming next. And, Margaret Bennett in this book has really liked to do a lot of song. Not this specific volume, but in the last volume, there was a lot of songs. And I've talked about this with Alex, Superhero Enthusiast, at one point. We're not fans of songs in comics. It's just music is not the medium in which comics exist. So when you put a song in a book, you have to create the rhythm and the sound of it yourself. And there's just very little to go off of. But Bennett's very fond of it, and I don't know, in a way it kind of reads more like poetry and you're just supposed to imagine music to it. But again, I'm not the biggest fan of that just in general. think about the only time it worked for me was in The Killing Joke. But here, it's fine here. It's not, like, distracting. It's not hard to follow. I will say, I feel like if you're gonna put lyrics in, you need to, like, music has to have a faster pace than a lot of things. So if you're gonna try to put lyrics in and make yourself think of a song, you kind of need to move the reader along and not interrupt them, not slow them down. But this puts things like giving us locations, like just the top of the page here on both sides. You get locations of where these events that we're seeing are happening at. And that kind of just slows you down and then makes you lose the rhythm of the song. So that's one of those things. If you're going to do that, you probably shouldn't have things that you have to read other than the lyrics. Like we get this panel of Honolulu, Hawaii, and this bar called The Kitchen. I would say, like, you shouldn't even be able to really read the sign or something like that. But anyway, I really like this panel of Batwoman in the rain. That's really cool. Again, it's a great image. She's knocking baseball bats through the stained glass window of this Spanish dictator. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be Franco. I can't remember if it's Francisco Franco or if it's a fictional dictator in this book. The imagery on the chest really makes me wonder if it's going to end up being like Black Adam or something. Or if Black Adam's going to somehow be involved with that lightning bolt kind of look. It's very obviously reminiscent of Captain Marvel. Anyway, we go to Honolulu, Hawaii, and Black Canary's now going to be in the book. That's exciting. I'm really happy to see Black Canary. That's cool. As well as Oliver Queen, it seems. Suicide Squad is back with Vampire Batgirl, Enchantress, Ravager, Amanda Waller, Killer Croc. That's really cool. We've got Bumblebee. I don't know who that is. That is not a character I am familiar with. Someone want to inform me, like, who that is in mainline continuity or something? There she is up on the front. She's got a... I like the cheerleader thing. That's kind of a neat way to cross it over and do stuff. And then we get... Katana is going to be showing up, which makes a lot of sense since, you know, obviously we want to expand to the other thing that is happening in this war, the Eastern Front, since the first volume was all about the Western Front. This first chapter of Bombshells United was about the activities of the American government on American soil. Okay, Robert Emmett's telling me that Bumblebee is a Teen Titans character. That's cool. I'm just not aware of her. Then we get, like, some refreshers about what everybody's doing. We got Supergirl and Lois Lane in Moscow. We got Aquaman and Aquawoman. No, correct me if I'm wrong, people that have actually been reading this book, because I told you to. While Arthur Curry has shown up, at no point do I remember him becoming Aquaman. Did I miss something? I feel like I might have missed something. Or I'm just misremembering it. So they're in the South Pacific dealing with tankers and such. You got Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy in Poland, and Vixen and Hawkgirl in Zambezi, unearthing Thanagarian wreckage. We got Dawnstar, who is exploring the cosmos of multiple realities and sees a comet streaking through the sky. and decides to yet again venture into reality and see what she can see. So then we get origin of what's to come when Carol Ferris and Hal Jordan are flying together. Bumblebee, Akuma Ranger says, I wonder if we'll see Judo Master in this book, particularly the female incarnation. No idea. Anyway, Pink Ray shoots the side of Hal Jordan and Carol Ferris's plane, and suddenly Star Sapphire. Carol Ferris is going to be Star Sapphire in Bombshells. That's really cool, but best part, Star Sapphire is actually going to be a villain. Yay! I'm really excited about that. And then we see a green light try to enter the plane the same way, but it's deflected and crashes. Where Jessica Cruz runs into the woods and discovers the battery. That's really cool. I'm excited to see Margaret Bennett do some sci-fi stuff. Margaret Bennett's obviously a big fan of fantasy. I feel like I've heard her talk about Lord of the Rings and stuff on Twitter, and just reading her issues, it becomes very apparent that she likes like myth and fantasy. So I'm really excited to see her tackle some more sci-fi stuff with Green Lantern. That'll be fun. And Jessica Cruz, excited to see a bombshell Green Lantern. That'll be great. She is a member of the Los Angeles Police Department, which I guess that's like a small, very specific complaint. It's certainly established in this continuity that women have jobs that, just of this time they would not have been, our society would not let them have. That is very apparent in Bombshells when, you got, like, in the very first issue, Maggie Sawyer, is it? Kate Kane's wife? Fiance, I think, is a police detective. And that's kind of all over. Amanda Waller's a military commander, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff where it's like, that just, it's cool that it's happening. I'm like, oh, that's just stupid. No, it's like, it's kind of set in its own reality and all this stuff. But I feel that might create kind of a weird juxtaposition that, well, it doesn't undermine the message. It certainly muddies it a bit, because a lot of what makes this book cool is the empowerment, the embracing of different backgrounds, different cultures, different life experiences, and showcases that through women. That's a really cool, really empowering and great statement, but it's doing a lot of that by showing you oppression on various levels and using it in the lens of the 1940s, of World War II, and showing you, okay, well, here's how people are treated here, and here's the face of oppression here, and stuff like that. So all that is like, it's fine. It's just, if women are in positions of power, then how much oppression could there be is a question that arises. And of course, just because women are in power does not mean patriarchy and oppressive systems that oppress women and minorities don't exist. Just because there are people that succeed in those communities, in these political systems, does not mean that these forms of oppression do not exist. I don't want to imply that. But when we talk about the 40s, the idea of a woman being a police officer is just like, no. Just no. Like, I'm sure if you do enough research, you could probably find one or two, and that'd be fine. It's just, now we have two. Now we have Amanda Waller in high-ranking military command. Now we have, just all these different, like, this person would be the exception, but since we're seeing so many of the exception to the time, it's becoming more of the rule. And again, that's just, it's certainly not awful. It's certainly not, like, detracting from the point that's being made. It's kind of just embracing, yeah, that was the reality of the time, but we just want to tell this story. But I do think it certainly, to some degree, muddies the waters of that message just a bit. It's not bad. It's just like something to chew on. And exactly how much police work we'll see Jessica Cruz doing in this is up for debate. They make short mention of her having, like, been on leave for some reason, and that she doesn't have to go back now. Now, I quit reading Green Lantern after Jeff Johns left. I kind of wanted to get back into it for a while, then I lost the hype. So I've literally never read. Have I read? I think I've read like one issue with Jessica Cruz in it, and she's just a minor character. She has nothing to do with the plot of the issue. She just kind of shows up briefly. So I'm very, very behind on her character. But if I remember correctly, didn't she have like agoraphobia and she wouldn't leave her house? So it seems to be going in a different direction with her. But that's okay. I'm excited to see what Margaret Bennett does with her in this universe. And then we get a bunch of glimpses at what other characters we have yet to see that will be coming in the future. So we get the Flash. I love the roller skates. Look at the lightning bolts on the roller skates. That's so cool. Hoping it's going to be Jesse Quick. Got Starfire, who is, fighting fires. We got Platinum. I don't know who that's supposed to be. These last two, I have no idea if they're supposed to be different versions, like gender bent characters, because is Platinum Steel? Is the Black Bat, Batman? I don't know. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like the gender bent version for this universe or what, but we'll see, I guess. And to answer my question from last issue, Wonder Woman is back. Yay, that's cool. She is in Australia, and yeah, we've got aliens as a new threat. So, that's interesting. The idea that the Third Reich was interested in the mythological and in capturing aliens or in capturing mythic beasts and using the mythology and the magics of that time period or of past eras for their nefarious purposes. And we seem to be connecting the Empire of Japan to more sci-fi stuff. Forgive me if I don't know I'm trying to think, and there is nothing that I know of, and this is obviously just me, this is not a blanket statement of what was the case. This is just me. I don't know of anything particularly like science fiction-y in regards to Japan during World War II. Like, there seems to be little in my head that it's like, yes, there was some kind of tacit connection to that. But that might just be me. Akuma Ranger tells me Platinum is from Metalman. Thank you, Akuma. Black Bat, I'm still really, really curious about. What's going on in the comments here? People are actually talking about the book. Akuma Ranger also says, to be fair, it's Amanda Waller in a time frame. She's vicious enough to crawl up to any high-ranking official. Fair point. Amanda Waller is always written as very cutthroat. Again, it's just one of those things like, could there be exceptions? Like, are there women throughout history that, you know, everything in the society says they shouldn't be where they are, but they managed to get there anyway? Yes, absolutely. No argument there. My overall point just is, if you have so many characters in these positions in which they would actually have real political power, you are creating the idea that maybe they're not the exception. And that certainly doesn't, like, take out the point, but it does a little it makes the point a little shakier than it otherwise would be. Anyway, very excited to continue reading. Yay. Whew. 1, 2, 3 more books. I need a quick break. I'll be right back. All right. Let's go ahead and go on to DareDevil, number 595. Again, we're doing these classic covers, reimagined, lenticularized, and redrawn, kinda. It's just, it doesn't work when you have a different artist drawing the same. Oh, Kuma Ranger was telling me that Black Bat was Cassandra Cain. Why didn't I think of that? Cool. Gonna have another Batgirl. Got Batwoman, Batgirl, Cassandra Cain. Okay, we'll manage. Anyway, let's go on to DareDevil, number 595. So I picked this up because Robert Emmett, who is here live, asked me to. This is apparently the start of the Mayor Wilson Fisk story. So in this story, Wilson Fisk is elected mayor of New York City. And I mean, just the comparison's obvious, right? Right? There's no, I wonder if this is some kind of political allegory. It's right there. It's, like this opening conversation is just how could they do this? He had to cheat. He had to do something. No, people just fucked up. Yeah. Fisk, NYC. Weird. So, again, the political allegory is pretty apparent, and what I appreciate about it, though, is, especially after something like Secret Empire, is it's not being overly... What's what I want here? It's not being overly apparent that it is clearly a political allegory. It's not trying to just be a political allegory. There seems to actually kind of be, a story reason that this makes sense to do. There seems to be an independent plot that can be followed where it's not just one-to-one political allegory and it's not convoluted as hell. But yeah, so Matt Murdock is now back in NYC working for the district attorney office, and Mayor Wilson Fisk's priority is to clean up the vigilantes because he's tired of having vigilantes on the street. And Matt is, of course, obsessed with the idea that, no one would actually do this, that he cheated his way there. And he's having a conversation with what I believe is maybe his aide or his secretary or something like that about Wilson Fisk. And she says, yeah, I used to have a car, which, it's hard to have a car in New York City. But I liked it. It was mine. It let me go upstate, hiking and all that stuff. And it was really nice. And then Spider-Man threw it at the Rhino during a fight. Now, I had insurance, but not superhero insurance. So, now I take buses and taxis. No more mountain trips for me. And then Matt just asked her the question, did you vote for him? She's like, Matt, I love working for you, and I respect you as a person. But that is none of your business. Oh, that's... So, the political allegory here is really interesting because it gets to just a fundamental thing that a lot of people on the left have been feeling since fucking election night, well beforehand, to be honest, but just the idea that anybody would vote for Donald Trump. And that is just the idea that, like, this is by no means accurate, but this by no means applicable, thank you, to everyone. But generally speaking, if you are on the left ideologically, then you believe that people are good, that people deserve basic protections and stuff, that if given that people can improve, that there is hope for humanity. That is the general ideological outlook of the left. When you talk about, like, criminal justice, like, what do we do with criminals? Well, a lot of people on the right, a lot of conservatives will say lock them up forever, or lock them up, throw away the key. You'll hear a lot of people that are like conservative proponents of the death penalty say, oh, we should just make them fight on live television to the death and sell the cable rights and stuff like that. There's a lot when you hear about the idea of like where do people fall on political lines from the right. But on the left, there's like a lot of, and this of course gets exaggerated to the extreme as well. But like a lot of ideas on the left is, oh well, political or prisoners, rather, not political prisoners, just prisoners should be rehabilitated, should be given education so they don't turn back to a life of crime. We shouldn't make parole too stringent because otherwise no one will be able to keep a job, no one will want to hire criminals. You'll hear a lot of stuff like this. So. And that's a good issue to demonstrate. One group thinks we should get rid of people, or one group thinks that like there's no improvement, it doesn't matter, you commit a crime, there's only punishment. Whereas the other group thinks, okay, you committed a crime, how can we make you better? So when you're on the left, there's this fundamental belief that there is hope for people. And so when someone like Donald Trump got elected, when someone like Wilson Fisk could win office, what does that say about the character of a people? That you were on the left and you honestly feel like there's hope for people, that people can be better, that people deserve more. And then they knowingly put into power someone who is just objectively wrong, objectively evil. Is Donald Trump evil? Yeah, is Donald Trump evil objectively? Maybe not. The fuck ever objectively is, he's certainly not a good person. I think most people could agree on that. But like when you see someone like that gain power and you see people voted for him, millions of people voted for him, you're like, how? How could you do that? How could you give up that, like, your values, any kind of values, to put someone like that in power? And so it's this, there's this interesting argument that it's not because, like, people don't vote for Trump because they're racist. They vote for Trump because economic anxiety and the fuck ever that means. But ultimately, I do think that there are probably people who, voted the way they did wrongly. That voted the way they did because they felt they had justifications for it and reasons for it. And then, I'm sure people voted Nazi because they thought Germany got a raw deal after World War One. Doesn't matter you voted Nazi. Doesn't matter you voted Trump. I'm sorry. Is there forgiveness for you? Is there redemption? Sure, but first you've got to admit you fucked up. So yeah. This kind of deals with that idea, though. It's just like you see a lot of pain on Matt's face as he, is given that information. That's none of your damn business who I voted for. Well, kind of is. So instead he decides to focus on just being Daredevil, even though he's been given a case by the mayor to go after Daredevil. So he's just going out to be Daredevil right now and deal with situations as he sees them, see what he can get done in the world. Focus on those he can help. But he tries to bust a attempted mugging, and turns out it's a sting operation by the NYPD. They immediately bring him in, and instead of to jail, they bring him to the mayor's office. And they bring him to talk to Wilson Fisk. And I really like this. This is a really great scene. And the point that Charles Soule seems to be hammering home here is that, like, the people chose Wilson Fisk. I really like this. I want you to remember that in the coming days, you appointed yourself their savior, but they actually chose me. I was absolutely clear about what I would give them: order, normalcy, accountability, things you and your kind don't understand. They know what I'm going to do, and they asked me to do it. And then Daredevil takes off, and Wilson Fisk sends the cops after him. But I really, really like the point that Wilson Fisk makes there. Because, okay, fine. You are on the left. You believe that, the people did make the wrong choice. But it was still their choice. They still chose it. And, again, Donald Trump was nothing but clear about the kinds of things he wanted to do. His policies were far from unexpected. I'm going to ban Muslims, he bans Muslims, What should you do about that? How should you react to the idea that, well, they chose this? You didn't. People are wrong all the time. Just because a majority of people chose something doesn't make it right. We did an episode on democracy in the lead up to the election last year. And that is an episode worth checking out of Geeky Gentleman, because you dwell on, you think about these things, like, what if the people choose wrong? Well, then the people chose wrong. Do something about it. So yeah, this is a really good issue. Let's talk about the art a little bit. Charles Soule is a writer I have a hard time pinning down. Because this is a really well done issue, but I really don't... I'm really hit and miss on his Darth Vader. Beautiful image of Daredevil. Love it, love it. I love the way that's colored, too, with the inking and the really bright, vibrant shades of red. Looks great. I like the way the artist, and maybe I'm just don't know enough, but I like the way the artist is capturing the like radar sense. That looks really cool. You know, how do you visualize sound on a comic book page? And that's not always easy to do, but you know, this does a cool job of giving you a visual cue that this is the comics interpretation of what Matt is experiencing. So that's cool. And you get a couple different versions of that. And the artist does a cool job, and the artist and colorist do a cool job of differentiating things, so it's very clear that you're seeing Matt's interpretation of events. Really neat. Now the question is, should I pick up this book on the regular? So we got Robert Emmett in the live comments, and he's the one that asked me to pick up this issue. We got a couple other people here live. What do you guys think? Did you guys like hearing me talk about this? I'll ask the live audience, but I'll also ask, you know, people watching this after the fact. If you want to leave a comment, let me know if you think I should be picking it up. It's certainly a good first issue, but we've had plenty of those that did not pan out at all. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I will decide whether or not to add it to my poll list. Man, 2 more books and a trade still to talk about. It's going to be a long episode. Alright. Let's talk Aquaman. Number 30. It's written by Dan Abnett, and I am still just picking this up for Stephen Sejic's art, because Stephen Sejic does some really fucking cool images. Just damn. Sejic does a lot of fantasy when he's not doing his erotic stories. So this is kind of like a really cool thing to get to see him visualize a lot of like Atlantis, because you always hear Atlantis, oh, it's like a magical, it's a kingdom that uses a lot of magical devices and mythic animals and stuff, but I don't know, you think of like the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons where it's just like woo 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 woo, shark shows up or whatever. This just looks really cool with all the sea monsters and whatnot. I like it. Anyway, so Aquaman, I mean, really the main story here is Aquaman joins a little rebellion and helps them, and is going to be helping them. That is the main arc of the issue. I really like this last full page spread we get as he joins the Atlantis uprising movement. You know, he's holding the trident to the sky, or I guess it's still to the sky. The sky is still up, even if you're underwater, to the surface. And it's like getting lightning strikes out of it and stuff. That's really cool. My camera's having a hard time allowing me to show you it with the light, but it looks really cool. Dolphins in the background. It's badass, you know. For freedom kind of moment. Anyway, So yeah, Aquaman is now joining the movement. That's the main story of this issue. The secondary story is that Mira is now inside the Crown of Thorns, but because she entered with a broken amulet stolen from one of the warlocks or whatever you call them, the magic users, she's literally drowning inside Atlantis, even though she's, you know, an underwater species dweller as well. She is drowning. She is magically drowning, and she's only able to survive with air. So this guy takes her to King Shark. I'm always so confused about King Shark. I never know if it's the same King Shark or what's going on. They call him King Shark. I'm assuming it's the main King Shark, but it's always really hard to tell. Just say it. You never quite know which King Shark you're dealing with. There's like 3 humanoid sharks in the DC universe. I'm a shark! Anyway, so he's kind of keeping Mira as a prize in a little bubble where, you know, she can actually breathe oxygen. And King Shark is planning for a, underground crime takeover of Atlantean crime. So that's like the story of this issue. Again, I'm buying this for the art. I mean, this is a great cover. Sejic posted this on his DeviantArt, and that is beautiful detail. Like, also, I love this detail of it too, wherein, okay, so he's holding the base of the trident, the staff. You've got the Aquaman arch symbol just kind of engraved as a part of the trident. That's really cool. Just like as little like extra grip area or something, ornate detail on the trident. That's really, really cool. I will say this has the problem that a lot of tridents have had that we've been drawing for Aquaman, and that it's got more than 3 points, so it is by definition not a trident. Like, I'll go to the last panel again where we see it. How many points does this have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's a pitchfork. 7 points if you count the reverse points that create the A shape here, but still, that's a pitchfork. It looks cool, but it's a pitchfork. It's not a trident. Oh. Again, Sejic just has some shit that looks really, really cool. Occasionally, I think like he's not able to do as much work on the faces as the bodies. Like if you look at Aquaman here, you know, the armor looks really cool with like that scale shading, but the face looks kind of flat and by comparison unfinished. Especially when you compare it to like the detail he's capable of. Obviously this is a much closer shot, but the detail he's capable of for facial expressions. Just look at the variety of shading that's in the cover image versus on, you know, some of the skin tones in panels. And, you know, again, it varies page to page how much detail. This image of him holding the trident up, you get a better amount of variation in the shading for the hair color and the face. Like under the eyes, around the cheeks, it looks like a slightly darker skin tone than just the eyes themselves. So, you know, it's one of those things where I feel like he loses some detail, but other times, like Mira looks really good. So it looks like in tinier panels, he's not as focused on the facial detail work, which is fine. It's understandable, and it's not like it's distracting or lazy. It's just, okay, you got to cut time somewhere, and that seems to be it. The King Shark looks really cool. As cool as Crush looked, King Shark, like, for just being unique, King Shark looks really cool too. I don't know. Just, I'm liking it. Cool look. I love when I can do this with a comic book. I am Aquaman, King of the Seven Seas. And I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt. I know. I'm also an idiot. Anyway, let's go ahead and move along. Trinity, number 15. Pit of Despair. It's written by Rob Williams, who's also doing the Wonder Woman book at the moment. And I'm not excited about what he's doing with Wonder Woman, to be honest with you. Getting kind of tired, so I'm going to change my camera a bit here. I've just not been a huge fan of what he's doing with Wonder Woman. Some of the art in this is pretty cool, though. So I think we're concluding, or getting close to concluding. Oh, yeah, Dark Destiny conclusion. You know, this attempt by Cersei to regain her soul by sacrificing the Trinity. But in her effort to sacrifice the Trinity, she's ignored Batman and left him as the last. But Batman shows up and basically saves the day. So somehow or other, Cersei's control over Red Hood, Artemis, and Bizarro was linked to the fact that they are alive. And so all Batman had to do to unpossess them was kill them. And he did so using potassium chloride injection to stop the heart, leaving them momentarily dead. I mean, I like that. It's clever Batman writing. It's like Batman's thing where, like, okay, he's confronted with magic. What does he do? Well, he finds a way to beat it. That's cool. I guess now the next time people tell me, oh, why doesn't Batman just kill? Well, he has. Batman killed Jason Todd, Artemis, Bizarro, and incredibly briefly, Wonder Woman, Superman, Zatanna, and Deadman. I don't know how you kill Deadman with the method that he does where he stops their heart for one beat, but he killed all of them for a moment in order to break them of Cersei's spell. Okay. Fine. Whatever. So they're able to defeat Cersei. There's a big epic battle with a monster of monsters. It's whatever. The art looks kind of cool. Who's doing the art on here? Marion? This artist really reminds me of David Finch. V. Ken Marion just really, really reminds me of David Finch's art style. Particularly this panel of Batman I was just looking at. That really looks like the way David Finch draws Batman. Yes, no, maybe so. What do you guys think? Right there? And just very reminiscent of David Finch. Oops. Well, shit. I lost a page of me comic. That's no good. The staples just straight came undone. Yeah, they're still in the book. They lost it on the spread page. Okay. That's new. I've never had that happen before. That's so crazy. So yeah, I don't have a ton of desire to keep talking about this issue. The ending's kind of interesting. where Cersei says she can feel death coming for her after she's been defeated, and Ra's al Ghul rises up out of the Pandora pit and stabs Cersei in the back so that death can claim her for her betrayal. And she's kind of like thrown into the Pandora pit. But as she's like falling into the darkness, Wonder Woman comes with the lasso of truth tied around her and grabs Cersei's arm, grabs Cersei and Superman, Batman, and the rest of the people there are able to apparently pull her out of the Pandora pit, pull the two of them out of the Pandora pit. That's a little weird to just end on this image, I guess, considering this is the conclusion. But, okay, it's cool, whatever. I guess I'm good with it. I don't have a ton to say about this one, and I've been talking for almost 2 hours now, so I kind of want to just move on, especially since the book is literally falling apart. I'm not a fan of the fact that the book is falling apart, DC. If anyone from DC is watching this, if you would like to send me a replacement copy, I would be appreciative. Because that's some booty. That my book, comics are so expensive nowadays. $3 is about the cheap. This is a $4 comic, by the way. $3 is about the cheapest you can get a comic nowadays. It's really not okay just to skimp on the types of supplies you're using. I understand that they got to justify sales and all that stuff, but when you're paying $4 for something that you can read in 10 minutes, and part of its value is that it's collectible, even though I'm not like a huge value collector, I read comics because I like the stories, I like the art. It is really just a little extra shitty when you get like a comic that's either damaged or has some issue with it. Like, I was reading through my Batman number 35 today, and that had like a bent up corner. That obviously isn't DC's fault. That's something that went wrong in shipping, packing, all that stuff. So that one doesn't bother me, but a binding issue like that, where the staples just let go of a page, 2-page kind of thing, that's a little hard to swallow. So yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and go on to trade talk, shall we? So, everyone in the live comments, thank you for coming live. Really appreciate it. But, I like to focus just on the trade and not be distracted by the live audience for this section. So, see ya if you don't stick around. Totally understand. Anyway, hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trade Talk. This week, we have Star Wars Yoda's Secret War. This is the 5th volume in Jason Aaron's Star Wars run. I think there's one more, and then the Kieran Gillen run will be starting up. I believe his first issue came out just last week, at the time this is being recorded, which is November 15th. Go check out the full episode of Comic Reviews if you want. Anyway, so this is Yoda's Secret War, and I mean, the last I remembered was Star Wars Volume 4, Flight of the Harbinger. It ended with C-3PO being captured by a group of, elite stormtroopers. And so this issue opens with C-3PO being interrogated by elite stormtroopers, but he basically tells them everything he knows before they even do anything to him. So, C-3PO is kind of a bitch. It's weird that C-3PO is on a ship with Darth Vader, and that, Vader is aware that these stormtroopers have captured C-3PO. And it's just one of those things where, the Phantom Menace is really stupid. With the whole, as a child, Darth Vader built C-3PO. Why? Anyway. So that's kind of a weird beginning thing, but anyway, they don't acknowledge it at all. It's just okay, C-3PO and Darth Vader are on the same ship right now. It's kind of strange. Anyway, but Luke and Leia and everybody are debating about what to do about C-3PO. They're actually considering a rescue mission. The stormtroopers are hoping that they're going to come and do a rescue mission because they're idiots for rescuing a droid from the stormtroopers' perspective. And Luke kind of agrees, yeah, we can't risk the resources to do something like that just for 3PO. But R2 hijacks an X-Wing and goes on his own rescue mission that we do not get to see in this book. Luke's X-Wing is sabotaged by R2-D2, and so he has nothing to do for the longest time but read through Ben's journal. And Ben's journal is all about a story about Master Yoda. And so this is the story of Yoda's Secret War. I really, really like this opening scene, wherein a bunch of pirates have captured a child and they've got him in a cage. And the reason they've done that is because this kid has been seen lifting objects with his mind. He's clearly a Force user. And the one thing everyone knows about Force users is when they show this ability, the Jedi show up and take him away. And so the pirates' plan is, we're going to keep this kid locked up and under guard, and we're not going to let the Jedi take him away unless they pay us a ransom for him. So I quite like that. That's actually pretty clever. It's a unique and interesting villain plot I quite like. But who shows up except Master Yoda? And everybody's like laughing and can't believe that the Jedi sent this little green, troll to pick up this youngling. And I love the detail and the grace and just how cool Yoda looks in this image. That is a great image of Yoda, and that's a poster. Anyway, so yeah, Yoda's... Oh, God, the artist did some great job with the detail in this. Yoda shows up and warns them that he has nothing to pay. He has nothing to give them except wisdom. Something more precious than wealth I have brought you. Wisdom. And so as these pirates go to attack him, and they're going to send him back to the Jedi Council, so the next time they send back some money, they're going to send him back to the Jedi Council, and so the pirates go to attack him, and Yoda just starts making them beat the shit out of themselves, and we get a cool little black panel here at the beginning of the next page, followed by Yoda reaching for the boy's hand to take him out of the cage. And all the pirates are just on the floor. Useless. Yoda hands the boy off to Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon feels disturbance in the Force and heads toward it alone. Feels a calling and heads toward it. He lands on the planet of the corn, children of the corn planet. The planet of the corn, children of the corn planet. So he's on a planet that only seems to have children who are like tribalized. The Lord of the Flies, the planet. These are tribalized children, and they are, obviously suspicious of Yoda. So they immediately start throwing spears at him, and he tries to grab the spears with the Force, but it zooms right past him and rips his clothing. He doesn't know what to think of it. So instead he lifts a rock and has it get in the way of the spears. I like that. That's cool. Yoda's clever. Seeing Yoda use the Force is really, really great in this. Like, they do a great job of just demonstrating Yoda using the Force, and that's really cool. Anyway, he earns the trust of these kids and finds out about this mysterious stone on the planet that an entire mountain is made out of, and finds out about warring tribes. So he goes to the warring faction to bring back one of their own, and they don't really want that one back. They don't find it important, so instead they, overwhelm Yoda with the rock, the stones, and he's unable to fight back against it since the Force doesn't seem to affect the stone directly. At least not with ease. When Yoda comes to, he is given the task of venturing inside the mountain. He's in chains made of the stone, which is an interesting image. He's given the task of venturing inside of the mountain to retrieve the heart of the mountain, which he attempts to do, though he is warned it is an arduous journey. He's in the mountain for several days alone until he senses people and he finds older people. These are the parents of the children. So once you get too old to fight back, they shove you up the mountain and make you go look for the heart of the mountain. So you just this is the retirement community. And Yoda has, a really interesting perspective on what these people are. And I like this. This is just a really good piece of wisdom about what, older generations are really to younger generations. We do like this. They send him off because they don't want him taking up their resources. We don't even have to bother killing you. The mountain will do it for us. The mountain has no heart, but it does have a gullet because it eats the weak. And Yoda says, Not on their own are your children, but wrestling with the chaos you left them in. Blame them I do not. Better teachers they deserved. And that's interesting. So while venturing further into the mountain, Yoda stumbles across a young boy and feeds him out of kindness, and then tells the boy there's more food over there, and the boy summons a stone. So since the boy was weak and Yoda has helped him, the boy now owes Yoda something. The boy is indebted to Yoda, and the boy's indebted to Yoda, and Yoda says, "If you insist, then one favor of you I ask, young Garo. Teach me the ways of the stone power. Your most humble and devoted of students will I be, my master." And so this is a really interesting thing where, like, Obi-Wan is relating this story because the moral of this story with Yoda is to always be humble, to always be willing to humble yourself. And, like, I really like that. Yoda is confronted with some kind of force that is not obviously or apparently the Force, but a strange outcropping of it that he doesn't know how to comprehend or deal with. And so he asks a child to show him how to use it, how to compensate and deal with it. And I really, really like that. That's such a cool Yoda moment. Because he is willing to humble himself before a child in order to increase his own knowledge. So anyway, Yoda kind of is a quick learner, and then they also, in the process, realize that the mountain does actually have a heart, that the entire mountain is a living being. So they meditate on the heart for several days and learn how to bring the mountain back, make it live again. And then they're able to leave the mountain. And they go back down to the village of the boys that forced Yoda to go up the mountain. And Garo, in his fear for Yoda's life, not wanting it to be ended by these boys, tells them the truth of the mountain in exchange for Yoda's life. So he is expelled back to this other smaller village, And man, I really like this. And he has to prepare for the fact that these boys are going to use their power to resurrect this giant that is a mountain. And they're going to feed it anger, hatred, greed, a thirst for revenge. Strong. The power of the dark side is strong. Strong enough to move mountains. And so a mountain is ready to go destroy this other village at the behest of these boys. And I really like Yoda. He goes and confronts it and stands right in front of the mountain. I'm covering him up right there. I like look how tiny he is, and he's standing in front of a mountain. A terrible thing this is that has been done to you. See your suffering made worse, I would not. Fight the hatred and anger. Fight against the hatred and anger that is controlling you. Be not a slave to fear. Fear does not make us stronger. Fear only makes us small. And then the mountain speaks. You are less than a bug to me. In the Force, we are all equal. Sacred all life is. Even bugs, like me, wish to harm you. I do not. But allowed to pass, you shall not be. Yoda pulled a Gandalf. Oh, that's really cool. And the mountain just laughs in his face. But you won't be enough of you left to bury, you little monster, says the mountain. And brief glimpse of Luke. Luke's kind of, going to the planet that Yoda's at years later. And he confronts someone who has the stone power. Who immediately tries to kill him because he knows Luke's a Jedi. And then we go back to the mountain. And I really like the narration here from Obi-Wan. The power of the mountain was greater than anything he had ever encountered. But still the Jedi did not move. And then neither did the mountain. We just get like this mountain's trying to step on Yoda, and he's reaching out using his new understanding of this extension of the Force to prevent the mountain from stepping on him. Every Jedi strives to be one with the Force, to feel it binding you, to feel it to every part of the world around you. The Jedi who truly does that is capable of anything his mind can imagine, and sometimes even more. Did I miss something? I feel like I skipped over my favorite line. I need to go back to the first encounter. Okay, yeah. One Jedi alone against a living mountain. I almost feel sorry for the mountain. That's so cool. That is such a great line. Oh, it's awesome. I love it. So anyways, Yoda's able to push back the mountain and make it, yield to him. And with that, he's able to resurrect the other living giants of stone this world has created. And tell the children, no more killing will there be, only learning, much learning, painful will the lessons be, but learn them you must. And then we cut to the present, where Luke is left fighting Garen, the boy that taught Yoda how to use the stone power, as they call it. Angry at the Jedi for leaving, for never telling anyone to come back. Angry at the Jedi for encouraging people to leave. Once they found out that there were lands from other stars, they all left the world and left him alone there with the stone giants. And so this guy blames Luke for it, and he's fighting and dealing with him. And when he has Luke completely at his mercy is when he finally realizes the lesson that Yoda was trying to teach him and gives his power back to the stone to try to resurrect the world of the stone monsters, of the stone giants. I really, really like that. And so, as Luke discovers all this and goes to try to find ways to help further restart this race and restart the life on this planet, Yoda is on Dagobah, and he says to himself, yes, soon ready he will be, as ready as he will ever be. Find me then, he will. Here, waiting I will be. And then we get another story for, this is the story in the second annual, and this one's, let me talk about general thoughts, conclusions to make on the Yoda's Secret War story. I really like the mythic scale of this, the idea of the man who fought the mountain kind of thing, and this is, I don't remember off the top of my head if Obi-Wan ever mentions Yoda by name, so that's kind of interesting that Luke maybe has an image of what Yoda is before he ever gets to meet him, even more so than he already had built up in his mind of what a Jedi is in Empire. So I really, really like that. But just the sheer mythic scale, this literal David Goliath kind of mythology and an epic scope that this story has is perfect. And if anyone could stop a living mountain with the power of the Force, it would be Yoda. And that's such a cool flippin' idea. And I love it to death. And it's the greatest thing ever. It's just the greatest thing ever. Again, I talked about that brief introduction, the prelude before Yoda goes to this planet, when he saves the kid from the pirates. I've been saying for a while that I want someone to make a Yoda fan film. That would be a great scene to do it with, where he's just using the Force to make these pirates beat the shit out of each other, do his work for him. That's great. I love that. And I don't know, it's a really cool story, and for a Yoda story, it fits really, really well, and it's really cool. And it's called Yoda's Secret War. I was like, oh god, I hope he doesn't leave Dagobah and go do a mission against the Empire or something. I really, really hate that. This was really cool. This was really fun, and it just had a good sense about it. So I really enjoyed that section of the story. Then we have the annual. This is Star Wars Annual number 2. And in this one, we basically just have, there's a lady on this planet that used to be an underwater engineer, but now she's kind of doing grunt work because the rebellion took the chance for her to have a job away, given all the attacks they've done and crackdowns the Empire's done. And she comes across sick and injured Princess Leia, and is left with the moral dilemma of to let her die or to save her life. And she decides to try to save her life, but she's questioning the decision all along the way, and it leads to some chaos and misunderstanding between them. I like this. This is a cool page. Anyways, there's some hijinks as they try to find a way to get Leia to Han and Luke. And there's just craziness and fighting with stormtroopers. And yeah, it feels like a lot of the stuff Aaron's been doing, but this is actually written by Kelly Thompson. Anyway, they're able to, get eventually away from the stormtroopers for a while. And I like this scene quite a bit, where Leia asks this lady why she doesn't like the rebels, but more specifically why she doesn't like Leia. So we get this scene where like Leia's having a wound stitched up, and she asks the this woman that's with her to, if she doesn't make it, take this information to the rebellion because they need it. And then she asks, I might die. You can at least be honest. Why don't you like me? And it takes the woman a while to respond, but she eventually says, Alderaan. It always is. Your whole world was destroyed. They died because of choices you made. How can you just go about your life like it doesn't matter? And I love Leia's response about what a rebellion means. And what her choices have meant for her people and stuff. All I can do is make their sacrifice mean something. Give everything I have to this cause the same way they did. To stop would be to be unworthy of them, unworthy of what they gave, of what I took from them. Truth be told, it's not their sacrifice, their deaths that keeps me up most nights. It's the question of if I would do anything differently. Imagine trying to look yourself in the mirror every day once you realize that the answer is no. No, you would do it all again. You would still sacrifice all of those innocent lives if it means stopping the Empire. And I really like this sequence of panels as she talks about that, as she lets out a tear thinking about she would willingly sacrifice her own planet again if it meant stopping the Empire. And I really like that. That is a really great scene when we talk about the loss that is associated with the loss that is associated with standing up. Princess, rebel, politician, daughter, friend, fighter, survivor, betrayer, monster. These are the words others use to describe me, and words I also use for myself, some of it more than others. But I would rather be a monster that believes in something, that would sacrifice everything to make the galaxy better, than to be someone gifted who sits on the sidelines and watches as if it has no consequences to them. Rebellion is an idea bigger than any of us. It has to be to inspire us, to inspire. It is alive, only as strong as its weakest link. What matters is that it survives us, that it grows beyond us. I will die for it. I'm sure. Today, maybe. But I will fight for it with every breath. Anything less is to have done nothing. Anything less is for Alderaan to have meant nothing. War makes monsters of us all. There are no easy choices, no easy wins. That's a good fucking speech. Kelly Thompson, can you please write the Princess Leia book that Mark Waid wrote that wasn't very good? No, it was Greg Rucka, right? Who wrote the Princess Leia trade? I did not like that. I did a trade talk on that if anyone's interested, but I did not care for that. That was a much better speech, though. God, that was really good. Kelly Thompson gets to write the next Princess Leia book. Anyway, so they're able, after that, they're, underwater chase scene away from bounty hunters. They're able to meet Han and Luke and Chewie at the rendezvous point and get on the Millennium Falcon, at which point Leia offers this woman that helped her out spot in the rebellion, and she takes it because of what Leia had to say. So, we have a new rebel character because of this, an underwater engineer. Cool. Great. really solid volume. Again, I just tend to enjoy this book a lot more in trade. People were asking me if I was going to pick up Kieran Gillen, the main title now that Kieran Gillen's writing it and it's not Jason Aaron. No, I don't like Star Wars in chapters like that. Like, you know, to me the episodes are a chapter, right? Like I wouldn't want to read a piecemeal. Like, would you really want to read the thing where the first issue ends with the droids escaping Princess Leia's ship? Like, that just, it wouldn't work for me. I wouldn't want to read Star Wars like that, and so it's not transferring over to the comic very well for me in that way. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to pick up the main Star Wars title in trade because that's where I find I get the most enjoyment out of it. So look forward to that. I am curious if anyone is reading the Gillen issues. Maybe I got some live people still here. If anyone's reading the Gillen issues, the Gillen's first issue, is it still post New Hope, pre Empire, or is Gillen taking us post Empire now? Either is cool. I'm just curious about that. But anyway, that'll do it for Trade Talk this week and comic reviews as well. I hope everyone has a good time. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Oof, 2.5 hours of talking at a camera. That gets exhausting. But I did it with a gun. I can't prevent it. I was trying. Anyway, everyone, that'll do it. Thanks for watching. Bye.